Hello, and welcome back to another Northwood Tales Spooky Podcast. Do you have something spoopy for us today?
Yeah, kind of spoopy. Oh, hello.
Just getting situated.
Not in the sense of like ghost and paranormal spoopy, but this one is going to be an unsolved mystery.
Like a true crime.
Mm-hmm.
But like, is there crime? Spoopy crime?
Potentially.
Spoopy unsolved?
Yes.
Ooh.
So today,
I'm ready.
and this is actually an episode that aired on Unsolved Mysteries back in 1998.
Uh-oh.
So there's been talk about it. It's nothing, well, and this is old. It's back in 1962 is when this started.
It's an old unsolved mystery. Wow.
Yeah. So this is,
Wow.
well, I think like 58 years in the making.
Where did this happen?
This took place in Worthington, Minnesota, which is in the southwest corner of the state.
Oh, okay.
Mhm.
Oh, wow.
So towards
okay.
the Iowa, or no, yeah,
Yeah.
Iowa and South Dakota borders.
Wow.
Mhm.
So that's kind of far, but still here.
Mhm.
Oh,
So
spoopy.
back in 1962, there was a 20-year-old woman named Marlis Thomas. She was several months pregnant when she separated from her husband, and she decided to move in with her mother in Worthington, Minnesota, to kind of live with her and have her help her raise the baby and stuff like that, just because the marriage, obviously wasn't working, so they separated.
Boys are dumb anyways.
And then on June 12th, 1962, Marlis went into labor and was taken into the Worthington Regional Hospital.
She was pregnant?
Yeah.
Oh,
Didn't I say that? Several months pregnant?
Oh.
Yeah. When she was separating. Yes, so she went with her mother to help raise the baby. So she got taken to the hospital, and she was put to sleep for delivery, which is pretty common practice back in the 60s, at least for the States.
Knock me out.
Mm-hmm. And she delivered a baby girl. When she woke up from the sedatives, or she kind of came to, she was told by the hospital authorities that the baby had died an hour after birth.
Oh.
And there's a couple different, there's a couple things that discrepancies. Some say it was stillborn. Some was saying she was told an hour after. I haven't actually watched the Unsolved. I didn't have time to do that research before this. I wish I did. And I don't know if I could find it anywhere anyways. So the staff said that the baby died an hour after birth, and she asked the staff how the baby had died, and the doctors could not or would not tell her, and the hospital did not allow an autopsy to be performed, supposedly is what they told her.
They're not... Excuse me? I'd be so mad.
And they also did not allow photographs of the baby's body to be taken, and her mother was not, so the baby's grandmother, Marlis's mother, was not allowed to take photos of the baby at the funeral home. Like, they were not allowed to see...
That's kind of fishy to me.
Yeah, they were not allowed to see the baby, at all.
I
don't know how that works because the hospital is different from, an actual funeral home. So I'm not sure how they're like, okay, you can't see your daughter, we're bringing her to the funeral home, or, you can't see her, and the funeral home's also, you can't see her. But you think, granted, the hospital could have identified the baby because... Yeah. They have records and stuff like that. But yeah, you'd think that the parents would still, verify that, this was my baby, even though it's fresh out the womb. But you can see the resemblances in the families.
Well, people get babies mixed up all the time.
Mm-hmm. Oh, that's happened so many times, probably back in the day, where they just accidentally got mixed up.
Oops, wrong baby, put her in the wrong box.
If they didn't have already a wristband or something on there to differentiate. How many times do you think that's happened? I feel like it's been a lot.
So many. It has to.
Yeah.
Because babies don't look exactly like you when they're born. They look like weird, mushy potatoes.
And they're kind of... Some babies have different more characteristics than others, but some are just kind of...
color,
it's a
obviously.
baby.
If you have darker colored parents, a dark baby's going to,
Yeah.
But if they're all
skin
white,
color,
they
maybe
all
hair
look
color,
the
but
same.
most babies are born with blue eyes and stuff, so that's not an indicator.
Oh, no.
And then Marlis was actually sick after giving birth, so she was still hospitalized, so she couldn't attend the baby's funeral, so her mom went for her. And her mom went, and she noticed that there was another family at the funeral service who she didn't know. She didn't recognize the family, and she didn't think it was anyone from her side. Nobody from her husband or the ex-husband's side. She would have known.
Family showed up.
Mm-hmm. And after Marlis was released from the hospital, she went to the cemetery and noticed only one fresh grave in the area, which surprised her because she was told that on the same day that her daughter died, another baby at the hospital had also died and was supposedly buried at the same cemetery. So there should have been 2 fresh graves because 2 babies had passed away that same day at the hospital.
Like a conspiracy.
Mm-hmm. That's why it's unsolved, still unsolved. And the other baby's name that died was Pamela Dickey, and we'll talk about a little bit about her family too later on. But it's weird why there'd only be 1 grave when they said, "Oh yeah, they're having the service at this cemetery too." Yeah.
They wouldn't let her see her dead baby. Mm-hmm. Wouldn't really let her leave because she's sick. Yeah. Any mom who loses a child is going to want to see that child no matter what.
Well, this is back in the 60s, though, so there might have been complications and stuff like that. Because even Pamela Dickey, the other baby that had passed away, her mother is named Margaret. She was also in the hospital and did not attend the funeral either. So just her family had went to her baby's funeral.
But then this mystery family shows up. Mystery baby. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, that's just... This don't add up.
There's so many strange things with this story.
This don't add up.
3 months after giving birth, Marlis received an unidentified photo of a family with a newborn baby. And there was no letter, no return address, and she thought the baby resembled her ex-husband, which is the father. And she believed someone was trying to tell her that Mary Agnes, which is what she was going to name her baby, was alive and living with somebody else, because she recognized characteristics in the baby's face.
Weird.
Mm-hmm. And this was
snatching
3 months after. Yeah.
What about the other mystery baby?
Mm-hmm. We'll talk about her in
Is this
later down the
like
story.
a Stranger Things moment?
No.
MK Ultra?
Well, who knows?
Oh no.
Because this is still, again, it's unsolved, which I wish we had some sort of resolution to this whole story, but there is really nothing that has come to be from this. The last, I think, news article that I found was from the 90s.
So they just accepted this. They're like, oh.
Oh, she didn't. Marlis didn't. The mom did not.
Okay.
No. She,
Okay. Someone's fighting.
Mm-hmm.
Ooh.
And
Ooh. Spill the tea. Tell me.
And then even though Marlis had her suspicions of her daughter's death, she still visited the gravesite on a daily basis. However, in 1993, the Dickey family placed a gravestone on the site where Mary Agnes was supposedly buried, honoring their baby, Pamela, which is the fresh site that was supposedly reported. That her mom saw the fresh grave.
So we got 2 different families putting flowers on one grave?
I'll get to that in a second.
Oh, no.
So Marlis believed Mary's headstone, which was several feet from that plot. So she thought that was misplaced in the first place when it was put down. So they were right next to each other, the plots. One of them was a fresh plot though, and that was Pamela's, where Pamela's headstone went. The other plot was, they didn't believe it was a fresh plot of land where her headstone got placed, and for some reason it got she doesn't think they originally put it in the right spot, but there was still a burial there. Mm-hmm. And
Suspicious.
Then, Marlis complained to the cemetery, and she was told they had no record of the baby ever being buried there, which is even more weird, because that's what she was told back in 1962.
We got mystery babies, and we got a mystery grave, and a mystery family.
Yep. So later that year, which again was in, I believe, 1993, the year that both of us popped out the womb.
Oh, no.
Later that year, Marlis hired a lawyer and forced a DNA test to be done on the baby's remains. And this is the one that was the not fresh grave, if that makes sense.
So the mystery baby's grave?
Yes, because this is where the headstone she thought got misplaced and put on this spot. So they dug up this grave, and then the other grave is still untouched where Pamela is buried. And the results showed of the DNA test that the infant was not Mary Agnes. And then although Margaret Dickey, which is Pamela's mother, was not... She questioned Marlis's story about what happened in 1962, But she ultimately agreed to do a blood test just in case the chances of the infants' bodies had been switched at the burial site.
Which is...
Because the plots of land are close to each other. So she's like, sure. Like, I'll take a DNA test just in case they accidentally swapped our babies.
Yeah.
But, you know, they're in the same cemetery. But the DNA did not match Margaret Dickey's either. So this baby, we don't know whose baby this is.
Baby. So it's none
that they
of the
dug up.
families.
These are bones that they have no idea. No relation to either family. Yeah.
This smells like a cover-up.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Someone be snatching babies.
And again, Margaret was still in the hospital at the time that her daughter's funeral happened. Again, same like Marlis's, because she was still sick and, you know, dealing with stuff back in the 60s. I don't know how fast they, you know, how the medicine was, how fast they could recover. And she was quoted saying, "I know where my baby was because my husband told me." And she said the results mean that her baby is buried where she's supposed to be, which is on that plot of land where they put the headstone. So she doesn't want to disturb her baby's grave. So there's no testing that has been done or probably will be done on Pamela's grave in order to verify that that is Pamela buried in that site, which she believes wholeheartedly is her baby. So that's why she doesn't want to dig it up. But Marlis dug up the grave. Marlis dug up the grave next to her, which was supposedly where Mary had been buried, but she was not. The DNA test shows it was neither family's. So that's why Margaret's like, okay, then my baby's in the right spot.
Yeah.
Marlis showed photos of what her mother had took at the funeral of Mary Agnes's casket to Margaret, what they saw there at the funeral. And Margaret identified the casket as Pamela's and that her husband had bought it. Like, he confirmed that he bought that casket. She also said that another family was at the daughter's funeral that day, and the family was Marlis's family. So Pamela's family was the mystery family at that funeral.
So they both go into a funeral thinking that it's their baby's funeral.
Yep.
Not asking each other like, yo, I don't know you. Why are you here?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so Marlis now believes that Pamela is buried underneath her own tombstone, which is accurate, the plot of land that she saw. So the one that they're not digging up, she's like, okay, that's probably is your child. And another baby was buried where Mary Agnes was supposed to be.
Who's this other mystery baby then?
Well, they don't know.
We have 3 babies?
They never confirmed a DNA test matching anybody. They didn't confirm.
So we have 3 babies. We have our main character baby, the mystery baby, and now a 3rd mystery baby?
No, Pamela.
Pamela's the mystery baby.
She's the one who's probably buried in the right plot. Okay. Like, she has a headstone that Marlis thought that was where her baby was buried.
Okay. I know. You're scared too. Mm-hmm. We won't. It's okay.
And after talking with Margaret and having the DNA test done, Marlis went and reviewed the birth and death certificates or records at the hospital, hoping to learn more and get more insight about it. Instead, she found only inconsistencies about the time and the cause of death. So they actually reported it. So how could you report it if you were not allowed to do an autopsy? That's weird.
Oh.
And this fueled her belief that her daughter may not have died. The police reports stated that Mary Agnes was healthy at birth, but the death certificate said that she had never drawn a breath. The birth certificate also said she was born at 6:23 p.m., but the death certificate said she died at 6:20 p.m., so 3 minutes before she was even born. So there's so many different inconsistencies with it. So she supposedly died before they could confirm it when they were probably like in the process of birthing her.
Yeah.
But yet another report says she was healthy. And another thing I didn't mention was Marlis kind of in a groggy state because she's under sedatives because she's knocked out when she's giving birth. She like vaguely remembers her baby moving, like her feet, like the feet kicking. So she thinks she saw her alive at the birth. So if this death certificate would be, or death record would be inaccurate, saying if she died right there. But then again, at the beginning, she was told that the baby died an hour after she was born.
I think someone be snatching these kids and then
that's what I
fake
think too.
Babies in their spot.
Yeah. So that leads us to the questions. Where is Mary Agnes Gross? Which is her father's maiden name, by the way, not Thomas. Thomas is the mother's last name.
Yes.
Did she really die at childbirth, or was she stolen from the hospital and sold to another family? Was the hospital involved with this?
They had to have been.
Was someone just snatching babies and they had to cover it up because they're like, oh, someone stole a baby from our hospital? What are we supposed to do? It could have been like
an inside job where people dressed up as doctors went in, snatched babies, got out, left it.
And she was a 20-year-old single mother. So they could have just took her because she was 20 at the time.
Oh, yeah.
And now
what is she gonna do?
Officially unmarried. So they probably thought, like, this is an easy opportunity for us to take this baby and give it to a family that wanted a baby and just say, like, oh, your baby passed.
Or MK Ultra.
Oh, I thought you were going to say aliens.
Aliens.
I was like, no, that is not
aliens
for this
came
one.
down and they wanted a human.
What is MK Ultra?
Mind control. It's Stranger Things.
Okay, gotcha.
Stranger Things.
Yeah.
11.
Well, we haven't come across any other weird
I know.
MK
I was like
Ultra
searching.
things.
I just searched like MK Ultra Minnesota. Nothing popped up.
Or even in general.
Or that's on purpose. I mean,
well, it's supposed to be a secret thing. Like, you're not supposed to know about it. But I didn't see any other
Minnesota
stories about babies
people.
being snatched.
I mean, no one's gonna, especially in the 60s, if you're in like a small town giving birth, everyone knows each other to an extent.
Yeah.
No one's gonna assume conspiracy, I feel.
I wouldn't think so either. Yeah, well, now we do. Influenced by the social media and everything.
Too odd, too convenient.
Yeah, because at the time, I'm going to see
Me
what the
personally, I
population
feel
was.
like I would dig it up, do a complete DNA test. Especially now with like...
oh, yeah.
How they're using Ancestry.com to solve crimes. Like, do it now. Guarantee you'll figure out what's going on.
Yeah, so I think Worthington is somewhat small. Population is around 13,000 in 2010, so it was probably around, I don't know, what it would have been in the 60s, a little bit less. But it's still a smaller town. But sadly, Marlis Thomas passed away in 2012, so she's no longer able to do any like investigation on this. But she does have other children who still are searching and want to know the truth about their sister.
Yes.
Yeah.
Find them.
So if Mary is still alive, she would be 58 years old today.
Can you imagine growing up to be either, you know, mind control or like what if you're an assassin, like Black Widow? Who knows? You could have been snatched and, you know, turned into Black Widow.
Like even just being adopted by another family and have them never telling you and you going about your life.
Well, it's
and knowing that you were stolen from your mother and it wasn't like an actual adoption thing that you like your parents signed up to do in order
try to steal babies from other moms all the time.
Yeah. There's so many stories that get really gory.
Oh,
and get really scary.
Yeah. Some of them just and then, stupid. If you're going to try to snatch a baby, stupid.
And then I read in another article that somebody tried to get in contact with one of the, I don't know if he was a doctor that worked there or if he was just a nurse or someone that was in the pediatric care, and tried to get him for like an interview or just to like see his side of the story, and he declined interview or they couldn't get a hold of him. So
conspiracy.
Yeah.
She's going ham over here.
She's going ham.
She's like, y'all being nasty. Snatching babies.
Snatching babies.
Don't be nasty. Don't be rude.
Mm-hmm.
That's spooky that it happened here. Like, what if it is MK Ultra? That was terrifying. A thing. It was more of the 80s, right? So
was it actually a thing? I thought it was like made up.
Oh, that's a thing.
It is an actual thing.
It's a government thing.
Yeah. Government conspiracies. You looked out the window.
I know. It's open. There could be someone.
There's someone peeping out the window.
The government, like, hey, what are you talking about? If we hear a knock on the window,
we see a bird out there. The birds work for the bourgeoisie.
I don't want to say it too loudly. They'll follow us. They'll come for us.
They'll find us. Yeah, that's crazy. I feel like the hospital had some involvement.
Yeah, 100%. How else do you... So, technically, overall, they lost 2 babies, right?
Well, Pamela could actually have died because they never uncovered her grave. Her mom didn't want to disturb the grave. And she was at the funeral. Her husband picked up the casket. I couldn't find anything if she actually saw her infant child. So that would be it, like a key indicator if she would, but she seems like that is her child that's buried there.
Yeah.
So I think it's more that someone snatched just one of the babies.
What I think is weirder than that to an extent is that 2 different families were at the same funeral for like different reasons and didn't communicate.
Or didn't ask each other like, oh, how do you know the child that passed?
Odd.
Yeah, that's weird. But maybe they were just like, oh, maybe they're a distant relative.
Yeah.
And then in the photo that Marlis received, she showed it to her mother just in case to see if it was like extended family or something.
Yeah.
No.
She's like, no,
they don't know who the grown people were. Well, they don't know who the baby was either, but she said it looked like her husband or ex-husband.
Well, infant babies literally just look like a hot potato.
It's not 100% confirmed like, oh, that's...
Yeah.
And there's motherly instinct, but like in a photo, it's hard, especially when she wasn't conscious ever to see the baby. She was under like the sedatives and she was knocked out. Which I also
think is weird that she was conveniently knocked out for the snatching of said baby.
Yeah. But I think it was common at the time.
It better be, because that's just way too convenient. Government conspiracy. Or aliens. It could be aliens snatching babies.
Aliens snatching babies. Oh, don't get me started. I went down a rabbit hole on Reddit about the Rh negative blood types. Have you heard about that?
Yes.
Yeah, I went down that. So I'm B positive, so I think I'm Rh positive. I think, doesn't it have to do with your blood type too?
Yeah.
I think you're more likely to have it if you are a blood type negative. I think is what it seemed like.
No, your dad's the perfect good one, right?
He's one of the O's. I want to say he's the universal, so I don't know if he's O negative. And I think my mom's AB something.
So no aliens.
No, well, you never know. Apparently O blood types are weird too. But my dad's also a Capricorn. He's very
aliens.
You know,
Capricorns.
Let's see.
You're pulling up some research.
I'm trying to see if there was like a confirmed thing in the 60s of childbirth being knocked out in order to...
Because they don't do that now. They make y'all suffer.
Maybe she had to do like a C-section.
They don't knock you out for that, or do they? Oh.
They might have back in the day because they had nothing.
I should ask my mom.
Let's see. Aria, that is disgusting.
This is the cleaning time. It's the cleaning table.
I'm just going to say, maybe it wasn't common practice, but that's what the articles had said.
It's
still
convenient.
Suspicious.
Yes.
Super suspicious.
I don't trust it. So if you ever gonna have babies, have like a marker on you or something and like doodle on the baby before they take it.
Or tell your husband or like your mother, who's ever in the room,
keep an
watch that child. Yeah. That's my child.
Well, I guess, is it true that you have to pay to hold your baby after you pop it out? I think they add that to your bill.
I think that's a U.S. thing.
Just
because we have to pay for everything in the U.S.
So I'll spend my $10,000 to doodle on my infant child before they take it away.
Yeah. It's some price, and it isn't to have a child. Is it like $30,000?
Yeah, it's like a college tuition.
Yeah.
It's such a scam.
It's crazy.
Don't have babies, have cats.
Right. And that's a whole nother subject is the U.S. healthcare system.
Yeah. Which maybe it's MK Ultra.
It could be. I haven't looked too much into that.
Through the kids to see which ones are the good ones.
Mm-hmm.
For mind control.
How would they know?
I don't know.
Just this one looks
the
like
DNA. Aliens.
Could maybe. They'd have to do it really fast though.
Yeah.
To get the blood work. Unless they got it from the hospital when they were doing tests on the mom pre-birth. But that's still interesting. You know more about that than I do.
To an extent.
Yeah. If you think that perfect at it. You think if that could be a thing, that's also equally as terrifying as a hospital scheming to adopt your newborn to a
government
stranger.
Back then, before social media, they could get away with anything.
Oh, yeah.
They've gotten away with a lot of things.
Yeah. And it's so easy to find stuff now. Yeah. Like, I'm sure nowadays, if something like this happened, it would be easier to track that child.
You have better security cameras. Our whole world is watched by security cameras. You can't really get away with anything.
Mm-hmm. And I think that it was hard for her back in the 60s to be like, to question it. Oh, because I'm sure they would have looked down on her for being...
Yeah, women in general, you can't appear anything other than perfect and polite.
Yeah.
You can't be like, that's not my baby. They'd be like, you're crazy.
Yeah, so it wasn't until the 90s, and she saw that gravestone of Pamela's that was put there that she started to be like, wait a second, that's where my baby is buried near there.
Yeah.
You know?
That's still odd.
Yeah, it's really odd.
It's kind of like the John Bonet, where the whole case was handled poorly. This is like kind of like that, where just everything was just off.
Yep.
It's not like it was a mess. It was just weird.
Yeah.
Nothing makes sense.
Whereas with, the John Bonet,
yes.
It was, I think a lot of the forensics and the police work was a little...
screwed with everything.
It was bad. Whereas this, there wasn't anything.
Yeah,
it was like the opposite. Like, everyone else was on that case and nobody was on this case, because it's like, no, the hospital confirmed your child died.
Which is bad when you have someone in power who's like, it's fine, you're just being dumb. And then everyone's like, oh yeah, that's what the doctor said. So yep, you're just being dumb.
It's completely fine.
She lost her child. Stupid.
Yeah.
I don't like it.
Mm-mm. And there's so many sketchy things that happen with like hospitals and any sort of medical field type of thing.
I don't bust it.
Back in like starting probably in the even before the 1900s, but what we've seen and read on social media, it's usually been from the 20s until 60s, I guess, really 50s, 60s, that like all this weird stuff has happened.
Yeah. Well, 80s is really when MK Ultra took off.
Okay.
So, to an extent.
Yeah.
Don't quote me. But I would say until like the 90s when, phones were really a thing, internet was getting started, like heavy.
Mm-hmm.
Can't get away with anything once you get the internet, really.
No. You'll get caught doing something. Either other people are going to catch you,
or the dark web's going to find you.
And the government will find you.
Aliens.
But the people on the dark web, they scare me. Like, there's so many different people that could be on there.
They have secrets.
There's
so many secrets. Maybe they can find the missing baby.
Maybe. I feel like the dark web is usually used for bad.
Yeah.
There's scary people on there.
The one time. You know what they could do, what the hackers could do? Instead of hacking the poor people, hack the rich.
Hack the rich.
Our neighbors agree. Yes.
Yeah, so I'm hoping that there'll eventually be a conclusion to this story.
Especially now that
I kind of want to follow it, but I don't think there's really been anything.
Yeah. Well, they can use Ancestry,
Yeah, because...
see if there's anyone out there with it.
And now granted, this woman, if she is alive, is 58 years old now.
Yeah, she probably don't care.
Yeah. Unless her grandkids and or children, who knows, at 58, you could have grandbabies by then, you could just have kids. Maybe they want her to take a DNA test, and then that'll bring things to light.
Yeah, because if this woman is still alive and she's out doing her own thing, raiding mines, she might not have if she doesn't take the DNA test, or knowing that she is in that circle, if no one in that circle takes it, then there's no way you're going to find her.
Yeah. But then if she does take a DNA test, it could confirm whether she's adopted and she never knew.
Yeah, but they could do one of those like aged drawings where you take like an infant and you render it to look older.
That would be hard with an infant. I guess you'd have to mesh the parents and be like, this is what your child would look like. So and take that with the baby.
Yeah.
Photo.
I feel like nowadays, if this happened, it probably wouldn't happen. But they'd be able to find it easier.
And another thing is that that photo that she did have, she ended up losing it. So she doesn't have it.
Convenient.
Well, and it was,
nuts.
which, that would have been the only photographic photo of Mary, potentially, if that was Mary. Which is weird to get something in the mail than just a photo with nothing.
This is a mess.
It's a mess.
I don't trust it. I don't like it.
Yeah, so I want to kind of keep up with it.
Yeah.
But maybe in this day and age when, like, 23andMe and Ancestry.com is so popular to do, maybe...
We'll solve more crimes.
Yeah.
Find more babies.
Sure it has already. And it's probably brought so many families together that they didn't even know.
Yeah.
So let us know what you guys think.
Oh, yeah. Do you think it was MKUltra?
Yeah, MKUltra was the hospital just stealing younger women's single mothers, kids, and just giving them to people that were looking for babies was like an inside job.
Yeah.
Like a hospital black market, basically.
Or just the black market.
Yeah.
Hopefully neither.
Yeah.
But that was spoopy.
It was spoopy.
It's kind of...
It's spookier because it's human.
Yeah.
And it's real.
I think I'd rather aliens come down.
Yeah. The unsolved mysteries or murder mysteries are more terrifying, I think, than anything supernatural. Yeah.
I don't like it. No one stop snatching babies.
Don't snatch babies. Like, yeah, leave the kids alone.
Well.
But thank y'all for joining us. And actually, just a little announcement before we go. Almost forgot.
We almost did. We got so swept up in snatching babies and aliens and MKUltra.
Yes.
Oh, we're moving.
Yeah. We're still probably going to have if you're watching us on YouTube or Patreon, we're still going to have the backdrop here. If you're listening to us on Spotify, you won't know what we're talking about.
Yeah.
But search for us on YouTube then.
Yeah. You'll get to see cats. 2 of them. Monsters. With a cleaning fetish.
Ew. But yeah, hopefully we'll have, well, not the next couple of podcasts, but further down the line we might have a better setup.
And guests.
And
real guests. Guests
actual
talk,
guests.
Not these.
Human guests.
Yeah.
Not felines.
That just sleep and lick things.
Yeah.
Strange. But we will be vlogging the move. Put that up on Patreon.
Yeah. So if you guys want to see that.
And if you have any ideas for a new setup, if you if you want funny photos or spoopy photos in the background.
Yes.
You let us know on Patreon.
But thank you all for listening.
Or watching.
Or both. Technically
both. Oh my, if you do both. Gold star for you. Okay, we'll see you when we're in
the new place.
St. Paul,
which segues into the other one. We'll talk about that next week.
Yeah, you better tune in for the next one.
Tune in for the next one. It's going to be nice.
The neighbors agree.
Yeah, are they shoveling snow?
I hope. It's the government. It's MKUltra. We gotta go.
Okay.